which at that point Safwan says, ما طاب نفس ما طابت نفس أحد مثلك. No nafs could be no nafs could be like that. In other words, he suddenly recognizes there's no human being like you, which must mean it's true, So he becomes Muslim at that point. And but he's also, think it from the Ansar, who are seeing a whole valley, going to Safwan, the enemy of Islam, the man who was one of the few people that actually fought us coming into Mecca, a man who tried to assassinate the Messenger of Allah. This is how they're looking at it. So they're seeing these things happening, and they're actually getting really upset. And there's some things spreading amongst them. He gives all the Quraysh who just have become Muslim, and some of them weren't even Muslim, and he's just giving them. One man comes to him and he keeps asking, and he keeps giving him and giving him and giving him, and he said, "Give me more," and he gave me more. Finally, he said, "Look, the nature of wealth is if it comes to you, عن طيب نفس, right? وتقبلها بلا إشراف. If it comes to you and you accept it with a good soul and you don't desire it, burika fiha, then there'll be barakah in it. But if you desire it, the barakah is taken out of it." And then he says, "I'll only take 100, the first 100." So he got the message. He said, "I only want the first 100." And then after that, that man was known never to take money. He said, "After today, I'll never accept anything." And he refused during the Khulafa al-Rashidin. He wouldn't take ghanima or anything. So great transformations were taking place. And then obviously his own, the Bani Sa'd come and he's given all this wealth away now. And then Bani Sa'd comes, and some of the Hawazin, and Bani Sa'd saying, "We suckled you, we raised you in the desert, won't you, now all our women have been taken," and this and that. And so the Prophet ﷺ actually asked that they give back all this, the booty that they've gotten. So it's even from what you now, you can imagine they've just won a massive battle, and yet in the end, what have they won in terms of dunya? So amongst the Quraysh, there's people who say that the Prophet ﷺ is he's giving to his people and he's forgotten about us. Now I want just to read the khutbah of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ to the Ansar. They come to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ and they say, in fact, one of them actually says to the Prophet ﷺ, who says, "This is a taqsim, qismatun ma urida biha wajhullah." This was a distribution that the face of Allah was not desired. In other words, it wasn't just. And the Prophet ﷺ became very angry until his face became red, and he said, "Wayhaka, man ya'dulu idha lam a'dal." Woe to you, who's going to be just if I'm not just? And then, but he didn't take retribution from the man, and again, Khalid and Omar actually wanted to kill him for saying that. And the Prophet ﷺ said, he said, لَعَلَّهُ أَنْ يُكُونَ يُصَلِّي, maybe he prays. And they said, if he prays, he just prays as a munafiq. يُصَلِّي بِلِسَانِهِ لَا بِقَلْبِهِ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنِّي لَمْ أُؤْمَرْ أَنْ أَنْقُبَ عَنْ قُلُوبِ النَّاسِ وَلَا أَشُقَّ بُطُونَهُم. I wasn't commanded to look into people's hearts or to split open their breasts, to look inside. And so he left them. Now, at that point, he gets word that the Ansar have said what they're saying. So he asked for all of the Ansar to come together. And he's got them alone. The Quraysh aren't there. The Muhajirun aren't there. And he says to the Ansar, it's a very powerful khutbah. He says, يا معشر الأنصار ما قارة بلغتني عنكم. Oh, you Ansar, what's this thing I'm hearing that you're saying? Right? Because what they said is, إن هذا لهو العجب يعطي قريشا ويتركنا وسيوفنا تقطر من دمائهم. They said, this is really a wonder. He's giving the Quraysh and our swords are wet with their blood. We've been fighting them all this time, and now he's giving to them, he's not giving to us. So he comes and he says, Allah, they said, what's this thing I'm hearing you're saying? And then he says, أَلَمْ أَجِدْكُمْ ضُلَّالًا فَهَدَاكُمُ اللَّهُ بِي. Didn't I find you astray? And Allah, He guided you by me. وَعَالَى, and didn't I find you impoverished? فَأَغْنَاكُمُ اللَّهُ بِي, because they didn't have anything. And then they were given things. And then He said, وَأَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ اللَّهُ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ بِي. Didn't I find you enemies? And Allah, He brought your hearts together because of me. Right. Because the Aws were Khazraj, they were fighting Bu'ath. Remember Yom al-Bu'ath, right? It wasn't that long ago. He said, Inna Qurayshan hadithu ahad. Quraysh, these people are new with they're just coming out of kufr wa musiba and calamity. Wa inni aradtu an ajburahum wa ata'allafahum. And I wanted to make them feel better and to bind them. And then he said, أغضبتم يا معشر الأنصار في أنفسكم لشيء قليل من الدنيا ألفت به قوما ليسلموا. Oh Ansar, are you going to get angry in yourselves because of some paltry thing from this world that I'm using to bind the people and bring them together so they become Muslims? وَوَكَلْتُكُمْ إِلَى إِسْلَامِكُمْ الثَّابِتِ. And I leave you trusting your Islam that's so firm. وَلَا يُزَلْزَلْ, and nothing can waver it. And then he said, أَلَا تَرْضَوْنَ يَا مَعْشَرَ الْأَنصَارِ إِنْ يَذْهَبَ النَّاسِ. He said, aren't you content, O people of the Ansar, that these people go with goats and sheep and camels? وَتَرْجِعُوا بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِلَى رِحَالِكُمْ, and you go back with the messenger of Allah. فَوَالَّذِي نَفْسُ مُحَمَّدٍ بِيَدِهِ لَوْلَا الْهِجْرَةِ لَكُنْتُ إِمْرَأً مِنَ الْأَنصَارِ. If it wasn't for hijrah, I would be a man from the Ansar. وَلَوْ سَرَكَ النَّاسُ شَعْبًا وَسَرَكَ الْأَنصَارُ شَعْبًا لَسَرَكْتُ شَعْبَ الْأَنصَارِ. And if everybody went down a path and the Ansar went down another path, that's the path I would go down. Allahumma irham al-Ansar. Oh Allah, have mercy on the Ansar. وَأَبْنَاءَ الْأَنصَارِ, and the children of the Ansar. And so he didn't finish his speech except that there wasn't a dry eye amongst all of them, and their beards were wet with their tears. And they said, رَضِينَ بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ قِسْمًا وَحَظًّا. They said, we are content with the messenger of Allah as a portion and the booty that we get. So this is alhamdulillah.